Hey everyone, this is Robert, and thank you so much for tuning into Station Square. And yeah, it's been a pretty, hot type of year because we're just now, finally now into the summer season officially. So yay! Regardless of the weather, I'm really happy to do this, and I'm so happy to have a returning guest in the corner. So you might remember her from like a few-ish or so years ago, but I'm pleased to bring her back. This is Gina. Thank you so much for joining me for today's episode.
Yeah, thanks for having me back. You're right. I think it's been a good, I want to say like 2 years if I had to put a pin on it at least. But wow, yeah.
Probably 2, 3 years, at
Oh
least
my
around that time.
goodness. We're so
Gee,
old.
yeah, yeah. I mean, like, man, it's just crazy how much time goes by so fast. And
It's true.
also, forgive the any neighbors cutting grass because they just decided this time of afternoon is when they wanted to start doing it. I mean, I get this, their jobs, but yeah, every voice actor's bane of existence. You know what I mean?
Yep, yep. I still deal with it too. That's when I learned even the power of just closing my windows back in the day. Like, goes a long way. But
I
yes,
know,
that's always
yeah.
fun.
Yeah, and also like having to have AC running in the back because it is crazy.
Yeah, I turned my AC off right before this because I knew you were going to hear it if I kept it on because I'm in Ohio, but even so, it's a pretty if anyone's listening that's around that area, it's a pretty hot time for us right now. Like it we go between having just thunderstorms throughout the day and then it's like high 70s, high 80s. It's nuts.
Yeah, exactly. It's just we're kind of approaching the dark days of summer, so get ready, folks.
Hmm.
So yeah, enough about the weather talk that I do all the time here. Let's talk about you. Like, if you were to catch us up with what you've been up to, anything that's on your mind, how's your year going, just pretty much all of that good jazz. Let's
Yeah,
dive in.
for sure. I guess kind of for me, in terms of voice acting, I'm still kind of in it. Been a little bit of an up and down the past 2 years, just for various personal reasons. One of which I've actually moved. I'm still in the Ohio area. I literally went from like one corner of Ohio all the way up to another one. But luckily within this move, I was able to go from kind of my smaller walk-in closet to a very deep walk-in closet that I basically kind of transformed into a sound booth. So just kind of getting to up the space and up my equipment, that's always fun to do. But yeah, otherwise full time I'm still doing audio podcast work. I'm grateful to have landed a position that allows me to be a little bit flexible. It's insanely busy, but it allows me to still kind of invest in my voice acting and has actually been very supportive of it. They've even asked me to go on and voice things for them internally and externally through the company now that they know that I'm a voice actor. But yeah, just keeping busy on my end. If those remember, I believe if this was 2 years ago, I had a cat as well. Her name's Lady. She is doing just fine and is happily taking a nap in the other room. So that's a very Cliff Notes version of what's been going on with me.
Oh yeah, we all love Lady.
Hmm.
If I were to guess, Animaniacs or Jerry Lewis?
No, you know what? It kind of came, it actually came, I should probably tell my friend because I don't even think she knows this. A friend of mine, rest in peace, she used to have not rest in peace, my friend, rest in peace, her cat. She used to have a cat. And she would always, talk about her cat. And one of the things she always said that I thought was funny is she'd be like, "Oh, you're a baby and also a lady." And I don't know, I always thought that was kind of cute. And when I adopted Lady, I was just getting those same vibes from her, and I was calling her baby lady, and lady just kind of stuck. It was going to be a temporary name until I figured something else out, but it just kind of fit. Her original name, believe it or not, when I got her from the shelter, was Lover, which on one, I see it on one hand, she is a very cuddly kitty, but on the other hand, I was like, we're gonna change your name.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought there was more to the story.
Nope, you're good.
Yeah, no worries. But yeah, it probably might be Zoom delay or something, but yeah, it's just so weird this week. But I really think that the story is very interesting because when I hear Lady, it's like, oh, okay, because my mind just immediately goes to like Jerry Lewis, if you're familiar with him or his comedy. Like that's kind of like his whole routine for
Hmm.
those of us who weren't even born by the time he was, making all these movies and stuff, going back to the old age of my parents and grandparents and stuff. So yeah, that's a little history lesson for you. And also I learned from Animaniacs, so
Oh, yeah. Animaniacs, I believe when it aired was a little bit before my time, but I discovered it, I want to say in like my early teens. Haven't seen all of it, but I loved like the little clips and stuff that I would find on YouTube.
yeah. I mean, to be fair, Jerry Lewis was also way before my time.
Hmm.
I just only I started watching his stuff after watching Animaniacs. And I think it kind of used to come on at Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network way back when.
I
So
believe it was
yeah,
Nickelodeon.
it
Yes.
was, yeah, like way back in the 2000s for
Hmm.
those of you Gen X kids that still remember, getting up on Saturdays and watching Nickelodeon and stuff like that.
Good times.
Yeah, very good times. So, I mean, we could talk about nostalgia all day, but I kind of wanted to catch you up to date on what are some of the projects that you've been working on this year, or just anything that you would say were some of the most exciting that you've, you know, kind of dabbled into, and what are some of the roles that you want to talk about that you're really the most excited about? And yeah, share all about the recent voiceover like endeavors you've been.
Sure. So like I said, it's been a little bit slower, probably well, probably definitely been a little slower in comparison to when we talked just a couple of years ago, just through life events. But I'm grateful that I'm still throwing my voice out there. People are still bringing me on. It's actually been a good year. And it's kind of a good lesson in terms of building relationships through voice acting. I would say a good chunk of the roles that I've gotten this year have actually just been either kind of recurring roles or from people that I've worked on for previous projects that have referred me to someone else or just have a new project and are immediately like, hey, we did this other project together. I'm doing this new one. I know your voice. I know what you do. You would fit this character just fine. You can have it, kind of thing. So I'm always grateful for that. Um, in terms of specific roles, the one I always gotta bring up at this point is through Clown's ARG project or non ARG project, Welcome Home. For those who don't know, that's kind of an online web project. If you're into kind of, I guess the best way I can describe it is kind of like online escape room type things, where if you're looking at a website, on face value looking at the Welcome Home website, it may look like one thing, but as you dig around, you'll find clues and codes, ciphers, things like that. If you're really into that, you'll find like hidden pages, videos, audio, stuff like that. But I've got to voice up until now a character named Sally Starlet, who's very into theater. But we just had an update this past spring that I believe went live around April, and I got to hop in with a completely new character as well as getting to do some narration. So always grateful when I get to come back on for that project. What else can I say? Just a couple smaller, I think, comic dubs, couple audio dramas, things like that. Robert, I believe I helped with a comic dub with you not too long ago, if I'm not getting my projects mixed up.
You did. So, for those that are curious, I think we kind of did like, because I did a couple of different comic dubs, but which one in particular are you?
It was a Phoenix or Ace Attorney Phoenix Wright one.
That's right. Yeah, that was it. Yeah. Oh yeah, and then you could probably find those on my YouTube channel. But yeah, it was a really fun little collab just getting to work with all of these different VAs and just because for me, what I like to do is I sometimes would like I mean it's great that multiple actors can just play like specific roles. Like I would just cast somebody just to just do like all the guys or just all the girls, but I think for this one, I'm pretty sure there were like two versions that I posted on my channel where it was somebody else. It was my friend Heidi and also Mornall, I think that's their name. And this one just had like different VAs. Like I had specifically one VA play a certain part that I feel they would suit. They would definitely absolutely nail it. So I just cast like a total of like five VAs for each of their respective characters. And it's just really cool getting to experiment with like, different actors. Like, I mean, honestly, I would just cast like them to just be like one or two, like maybe two or three, or just play like all of them. But I like to have fun and I just wanted to what did they say? Pick up my cake and then just eat it and then just pick apart like different roles for everybody. That's just what's really fun about it. and I'll share about it in a little bit, but I'll just do a little bit of self promo just a second. But a lot of you guys already know what I'm going to be talking about in a little bit. So before we get to that, yeah, just TLDR, fine, just fun little comic dub, fun little
Yeah,
project.
for sure. So yeah, also just to ask her, did you said Mortal and Heidi? Did you have them for Phoenix Wright comic dub too?
It was kind of so how it worked is that like you did one variation. It's just pretty much like the same scenario, but I had them do like an alternate variation where they were just kind of talking about it's the same setup but with different dialogue. So I just decided it would be fun to have like one person just do one scenario and then another just with another. So I just kind of did it that way. So
No,
just to
that
avoid any confusion, if, in case anybody asks me, like, why are there different VAs? Because hey, I just like being experimental, and also my brain is like, if it's all over the place, like I'll just be like, okay, let me just be artsy or experimental and just do this. Let's just go with this route.
yeah,
So
no,
that's
that's
why, yeah.
it's really funny you bring that up because definitely I'm positive we're thinking of the same Mortal. And if we're thinking of the same Heidi, um, I think it was a couple years ago, and I vaguely remember bringing it up when I was on the last Zoom call with you. Again, assuming I'm thinking of this, I'm pretty confident same Mortal. I'm not so sure it's the same Heidi. It might be, but a couple years ago, the three of us were a part of a Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney live dub that Sean Chiplock did, where we auditioned through
Yes,
his server.
that's who you're thinking about. Yes, yeah.
Okay. So that's really funny because all three of us were involved. We were doing the trilogy and it was the very last case of the trilogy. And all three of us were characters in that very last case. So it's very funny what a small world that is that we got to come back and do another Phoenix Wright live dub or live dub, comic dub. Bleh. A lot of
Yeah,
dubs.
I mean, it's a dub, but I just think it's so interesting that now that you brought it up, I did not even realize that. Yeah, it was, for those who don't know, Heidi, I just had her on my podcast once again, and she might be on another episode sometime next week. But what is it going to be about? You'll have to tune in to see. But yeah, Mornal and Heidi, like both of them are just great. I don't know Mornal, that's their username. So for those that are curious, but yeah, I just didn't think that the three of you, I had you, all three of you guys on technically the same comic dub, but with different dialogue and just kind of like alternate like conversations, which is really funny to me.
That is really funny.
Yeah. But speaking of Sean Chiplock, I think that it's still pretty crazy that I because I don't think you saw the recent interview I did with him, but it's just basically all kind of connected to the Solomon Shrine project that I'm doing, and yeah, and I'm not sure if you've auditioned for that or another. It was a while back. These couple months have been really kind of fuzzy to me, but I know I
Same
had a
here.
lot of people just try out for it, but I honestly didn't think that I would actually work with Sean for Solomon. Like that in a million years is just kind of nuts to me because this is kind of somebody who has been on JoJo, which you love so much, a
I
big
do.
fan of, and so I guess we'll probably talk JoJo in a little bit, and also just Zelda, Danganronpa. He's pretty much been all over the map. So
hmm
yeah, I'm looking forward to working with you, Sean. Just congrats once again.
Nice.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, man. So I think that's pretty much all I can really say about Solomon because I've done a lot of interviews and just spoke a lot of details. So if you want to see episodes, they should be coming out later this year, Lord willing. But yeah, since it is the summertime, what is something else that you kind of been, sort of dabbling into as of late? Just kind of curious.
Yeah. So I guess with the summer for me, well, like, yeah, I guess could kind of be considered a hobby. Now that I've kind of moved up here, I've been taking a look and seeing. I like going to conventions, considering how introverted I am. But I like going and I like dressing up and doing all that fun stuff with fellow strangers that I'll never see again outside of me being in costume. But I'm finding that those are really fun environments to be in. Another thing I've gotten into with that is ribbon designing. For those of you, if you go to conventions, you might already know what I'm talking about. But if not, when you go to conventions, you often get badges that you wear around your neck, and some people make custom ribbons that are sticky on one end, and you can just kind of add them on to your badge as you continue to talk and meet people. Excuse me, sorry. Are you hearing a noise on your end through me?
Uh-uh.
No? Okay, cool. Sorry. I'm hearing something through mine. I think it's like my furnace or something like that, and I feel it rumbling. But if you can't hear it, then we're good. Anyway, so but yeah, you can make custom ribbons, and you can add them to your badges. Some people just like to give them out. Some people ask you to maybe trade for them. Others will maybe ask you to just do like a fun or silly task. There was one that I got, I'll never forget. I basically had to yell into a crowd and say, "Who wants my social security number?" Didn't actually have to give it, but just doing silly stuff like that. And it's just really fun getting to chat with people on why they made their ribbons. You can add them to your own badge. The last convention I went to, I went really hard in terms of trading and trying to earn ribbons, and I walked away, I think, with like 370 something. Was not expecting to get that many. But yeah, as you can tell, I'm kind of geeking out over it, but that's kind of the new thing I've discovered this past month or two.
Yeah, I don't think I even really heard of like because I've heard of like sewing and knitting, but not like ribbon. Just that I'm not really too familiar with that. So you learned something new.
Yeah, for sure. And you're not, well, some people, I guess. Often it's you're kind of designing them online and then you're going through a website that actually puts them on the ribbons and ships them to you. But there are people that physically make their own ribbon. I have no clue how they do it. But those are also pretty cool when you get those kind of homemade style ribbons.
Yeah. So is that something that you like to consider doing as like a side business in the future?
Probably not like a side business, just because of the nature of it, and just because, as I've learned in the past few months, there are like websites that are established in just ribbon making. A lot of those websites, they don't, it's not, they're just not they're not catering like specifically to convention goers. It's often they're the kind of websites that do various size ribbons for like a variety of things. So like if work wants to give like awards, or like if you ever did like those track and field or academic events through school and you'd get those kind of ribbons with first, second, third place, those kind of websites do those types of ribbons. And a lot of times it's you get them in bulk, you save your money, all that fun stuff. So
Right on. So you were just talking about some of your hobbies, which is really great to have, but and you also talked about some of the recent stuff that you've kind of been working on, which I mean, congrats once again. Like I don't think I've said this already, but yeah, congrats on just still booking stuff.
thank you.
Yeah, because I know right now at this time it's a little. I don't want to say that we're in a slowdown because yeah, but I think it's usually like during the summer, it's kind of like it depends from actor to actor, but I know that it can be one of the busiest times. I know, especially like when we get to the end of the year, it's just insanity. That I
Yeah,
know.
for sure. I'm remembering there's not so much now because it's kind of a balance between voice acting and my day job. But there was, I want to say, it might have been around the time when we interviewed. I had a job that um uh the way it worked is I had a little bit more free time to do voice acting, so that was probably one of the busiest I or as much focus that I put in voice acting in a year. And I remember for me personally, I think it was like those last 3 months of the year when I really just put my head down and just started go go go. It got pretty productive, and it might have been too because it was during the I don't know, I can't speak for others, but it might have been during the holiday season. So if people were taking time off, and maybe I was just like, I'm just gonna go in between and just not stop. That could have been part of it. I don't know, but that's how it was for me during that particular year.
I think for me it was big surprise 2020 because what else are you gonna
Mm,
do like around that time? So I
good time.
think that was the time where I knew, okay, so since I literally don't have anything else to do, I think I might as well just hunker down and just really start doing a lot of different projects. And I think if it wasn't for me just going hard on it at that time and suffered a little burnout, which is not fun, I don't think we wouldn't have encountered because I remember we were on CCC, did a few different projects, and I'm like, you know what? We should probably start talking because we've been doing a lot of different stuff together, and I'm just like, okay, you know what? She seems really nice. Let's just talk. I
Oh,
think
that's
that's pretty
sweet.
much how it kind of started because I think it was around that time too that a lot of people were just like, okay, so all the theater, everything is just not, it's just kind of shut down. And when I say shut down, I mean they went out of business, unfortunately.
Yes.
But
Yes.
voice acting was kind of the one thing that kind of was growing and just really exploded during, that time. So it really
Absolutely.
led to a lot of new stars and new up and coming talent that are just really making their way in the industry. So, and even the ones that I had on the show, like around that time, are now moving on to like Genshin, so many different projects and anime, AAA games. So it's just a part of me is just like, okay, so you want to give me a shout out? Yeah, now that you're all into the big stuff, it's like, hey, I kind of, sort of, kind of gave them the nudge, nudge to continue.
Nice. No, I see the same thing with some of my colleagues and peers as well. Kind of they made the move out to California or Texas and they're doing all the big things. I love that for them. It's really sweet. And I don't, it's interesting to look because I think I'm kind of in comparison to those. I'm not necessarily like I'm not union. I'm not hitting all those big ones. I'm not moving to Texas to do anime or the Triple A's or the Genshin or stuff like that. But for me personally, and I've always like said this because I do voice acting, it started as a hobby. It was like that one hobby for me in my teens that while I was picking things up, a lot, putting a lot of stuff down, that was the one that really stuck. I do it personally that because I love it. A good chunk of work that I still do is just kind of unpaid just for fun. If I like the project, I'll do it. If I get paid, bonus. Like I like to say, voice acting for me is a hobby. I just happen to make enough at this point that I write it off for taxes. So that's just kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, and it's nice to really have something that can eventually work out in the long run. Like you could do it for because it's something that you know that this was meant for you, or if you just want to do it on side, that's also fine. But I was always just somebody that just loves creating, like whether
Hmm.
it's voice acting, giving life to a character, or making my own stories, writing. I've just always been somebody that is just like, I've always been born a creative, just because that's what the Lord has given me these skills. And if I'm going to use them, then I'm just going to use it for His glory.
Hmm. Oh, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
in a way. So it's just something that I just kind of really wanted to point out there. It's like, look, I know that everybody has something, everybody has a gift, and are you just gonna let it go to waste?
Mm. That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah. I mean, like, look, I know that times are also really rough, but hey, I think it's also the time where, like, when we're at our lowest, I think this is kind of when some of our most inspired work comes out in a way. I don't know if it applies for everybody, but I think it's something that I've been really noticing too. It's like, look, when we're in a rut, we find something that just gives us the spark and the just the push to just continue moving forward, and then we just come up with a lot of really just exceptional just content out there. I
Hmm.
mean, that's pretty much how, no joke, Five Nights at Freddy's just kind of came to be because Scott was kind of in a slump and then he came up with this idea, and the rest is history.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think it's
Abs-
also worth adding too in like times like this that it's not selfish to take that time for yourself, whether it is creating or if it literally is just giving yourself that break to just rest and restore yourself. Um, I think a good example, kind of talking about my hobbies with conventions now. I went to one, it was like the last weekend of May and it bled into early June, which is, oh wow, this month, time flies. And just being in that like environment just for like 3.5 days, that alone just what really helped me kind of jump into this month and get back into work, because sometimes times are tough and sometimes it does help to kind of just transition and take that step back, whether it is through that creative work and actively pursuing and creating something, or taking that step back and just relaxing and being with peers and just taking a moment to tune the world out and restore yourself. There's no right, wrong answer to do that, but just taking that time for you. I think that's very important.
Exactamundo. That's kind of like my new phrase that I use for the show.
I like it.
Yeah. So let's see. You talked about your work. Oh, um, what would you say was something? Because I think I've already talked about the most. I think I've probably already asked this, but I don't know if you've answered this. But what would you say was kind of like the most creatively, like, I guess, challenging and fulfilling to you, just as an artist, when it comes to VO or just anything in general that you've been doing as of late?
Um, create that's good question. Honestly, one just immediately jumped to my head, in terms of, I guess, challenging in a sense, was we talked about Sham Chiplock with those live dubs. Wasn't this year, but a year past, he went ahead and he's in the next game, so I think it's like the Apollo Justice Ace Attorney games. And there's a character named Olga Orly. And the gimmick with her character is that she starts out as like a shy, petite, keyword Russian lady, and then it's revealed it's kind of a disguise. And for those who don't know those live dubs, there is an audition process and people vote. And for me, and when it comes to professional projects, very rarely do I audition for projects, especially if they want like authentic accents. I really should take some classes on those because my skills alone, I do not have that. I'm not good at a variety of accents, so I don't even touch it. But seeing this, I had seen, like, I looked into the character, that it was a gimmick, that it was meant to be kind of fake, and I went, I could take this from an angle that it's a very obviously fake, vague European accent. I can do that. And then I almost didn't because I was a little shy and nervous in my ability to pull that off. But because this wasn't like a professional thing, it was meant just to have fun. I went ahead. I took that risk. I did a voice and an accent that I've never auditioned with before, and I got voted, and I got cast, and I was able to do that character in the live dub like a year ago. And I hold that one because it was one of those cases where I almost didn't take that risk or just let myself creatively just have fun, however anyone wanted to interpret it. But once I kind of let myself go and just not take myself so seriously and just have that fun, uh, it's a role I won't forget. I don't know if I can ever match something with that in terms of the insanity that I brought to that role and that voice. But yeah, that was an interesting one for me in the past year and a half.
I remember auditioning for that, not gonna lie. Like, it was
Oh,
definitely around
snap.
the 20, yeah, it was around 21 or 20, yeah, when he first started doing it. And now I'm just so glad that it's not just like, oh, so Sean is probably gonna do all the character. No, like, it gives, in a way, like, you know that Sean, if you're in his server, he is very, very giving, and he just is really letting a lot of these people who don't really do voice acting just really letting their time to shine, and a lot of them did incredible from what I mean, I haven't really listened to all of them, but from what I've heard, they're amazing. So
Hmm.
if any of you guys like in Sean's server, if you listen to this, y'all know that you're doing a really good, and especially for some of them, like if I'm hearing like Gumshoe or Edgeworth or whoever else, there's a lot of characters, y'all. And I listened to those some of those voices, and definitely not doing like a sort of like ego stroking type of thing, but I could probably hear them officially like in the games. Just canon voices. Just saying.
No, a number of people that do the live dubs, they would either go on to voice act or they kind of, I think like me, were in that boat of maybe we're already voice acting. But there's something about doing, I bring the live dubs up a lot, but truthfully, because when I started doing them, I think it was in the midst of like COVID 2020, 2021 when I started auditioning and I got in, and oh, I'd cringe look at my original performance because I was still new-ish in that realm, and it was just very shy. Um, but it really was helpful in terms of just reminding me why I do love to voice act. It's to tell these stories, and it's just fun when, again, like taking the work seriously, but not yourself seriously. And I think once you find that balance, that's when the fun really happens. And through these dubs, it's actually been a great opportunity. I love when we do these, and then months later, I'll get cast in a project, and I look at the Discord server, and I'm like, that username looks familiar. oh, we did that scene together. Oh, you were that character a couple months ago. And then we get to reconnect, and I've made some friends through that. And we've swapped casting calls. We've gotten to be in projects together uh, years after the fact, even. And just, yeah, it's really fun. If you were ever curious about joining that server, or if you were and you were shy about auditioning, don't be. Give it a chance. Everyone's really nice, and it's really, really fun.
Absolutely. So, for you personally, what is something that, even though you may have already hinted a little bit of it, but what is something that you cherish and you're so grateful for of just doing voice acting or just performing acting in general? Because I know you have a theater and musical, you have that background. So, what is something that you really just take so much out of just from acting, period?
Yeah, for me, I find, especially lately, it's a very good release. I don't want to say it's a good substitute for therapy. If you need to go to therapy, please actually get actual therapy. There's a difference. Um, but just once I started kind of getting into it, like I mentioned, kind of older performances, which I think will happen with anyone when they start. There's it takes a little bit to kind of get in your comfort zone and figure out how you act. So there is that kind of restraint in performances, I find, at least especially from me when I started. But once not, I've gotten to this point where I kind of know when I'm restraining and when I'm letting things go, and depending on the role, I can kind of control that. For me lately, voice acting, it's just been a real good exercise and letting out that certain release and those certain emotions through specific, whether it's actual the characters or roles or even just auditions. I found situations where I've submitted auditions for characters that were just really angry or really distraught, and I let myself fully get into it. And then after I did those recordings and sent them off, I was like, it's like a little mini weight kind of got lifted off there. I got to let something off my chest and I didn't even realize it. So, I guess if that to answer your question lately, it's been for me, I appreciate kind of that relief that I get to kind of have just stepping in, voicing these characters and these imaginary situations, but I walk out just kind of feeling a little different, and maybe walking just a little taller.
Yeah. And I guess on that note, how would you say that it changed your life for the better?
Yeah. So for me, I always loved acting growing up, but I grew up in a very small town. Just to further emphasize that, my high school graduating class was only 32 of us kids. That's how small it was. So there weren't a lot of opportunities for theater, musical arts, and things like that. Um, so sorry, I completely forgot your question as I was answering. I'm sorry, I was
Oh no,
reminiscing and
how
I
did
went,
it
what was
change
the
your life for the better? That's the
Thank you. I was like, I had a point. What was the point? But yeah, so I came from I loved theater, but there weren't too many opportunities for me until I found the internet. And just for me, it's just I think it's helped me be a little bit more outgoing. It's let me do meet, have connections, make connections, talk to people like you, Robert, in this setting, where I wouldn't get to do that otherwise. And I think also for me, despite how as time goes by and I get older and I'm doing all the adult things, it's nice to kind of come back to this and just have that fun, almost to kind of like be a kid and just like I said, that sense of relief. There's something about it that even when there is work and there might be money behind it sometimes, it's still fun. If honest, it's one of those things, it wouldn't matter what you threw at me. If I wasn't having fun, I wouldn't be doing it. And I've been doing it combining professionally and unprofessionally probably like 9, 10 years now. It's still just as fun as when I discovered it. So for me, I'm grateful that I found that thing that I can go and work, and that it's just amidst all the chaos and the muck that there might be in the real world, I know I can come back to this and it's just fun. And I think we all need a little bit of fun in our lives.
Oh, yeah. And trust me, there's nothing better than just unwinding or just going back to our, you know, just being a little kid again and just going back to that one thing that really still sparks that the same joy, the same passion, and just the same everything. Just reminds you back when you were a wee little lad, just building our little sandboxes and all that stuff.
For sure.
Yeah, so there are a couple more questions I have, but I think this would be a perfect way to just close off part one. For part two, that should be coming shortly. So if you're enjoying this so far, let me know. Do the YouTube comment, like, a subscribe thing, and I'll just see you in the next part. Until then, stay safe and stay awesome. See you in a
Bye.
bit. Bye. Alrighty, welcome back, and we're just now into the finale portion. So there's a few more questions that I got for ya. I'm pretty sure that this was something that you kind of touched upon, like maybe the last time we spoke, but what would you say were, because I think I already know right off the bat. I remember you said it was the Muppets, Jim Henson, that was really influential to you, but what would you
Hmm.
say are also just very big, and also JoJo as well, so just get those out there. So what would you say were also like influences to you in your life, career, just period?
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, to kind of briefly recap, Jim Henson was a big one of mine kind of growing up. I grew up on Sesame Street and then I discovered the Muppets. But then getting older, I was able to get my hands, I have it in my living room, but I won't get up and grab it. But there was a book that was basically his entire like biography, just life, career, death. And reading it was fascinating to me because at the time when he really got into his career, puppetry was more of, especially like a female driven field, and it was often looked at just for like children with puppetry, kind of like Sesame Street. But Jim Henson really came in and changed the game. He made it more kind of a male-friendly field. He also showed that you don't just have to make children's shows. You can make shows that appeal to adults and also teens, a wide variety of audiences based on his shows and movies, but also just the way that he went about it. Compared to other like big stars that you see, especially when it kind of comes to Hollywood and the entertainment industry, there almost seems to be an unspoken rule that you need to have kind of like a tough skin, almost like an ego for some people. And Jim Henson never came, at least from what I've read and like what I've seen through interviews, he's never come across like that. He always seemed like a very like sweet, a nice like it seemed like the industry didn't really hard him in the way that you typically see others that get into that field do. And I think that's very impressive to not only literally pioneer a specific field, but not lose yourself as you do it. But specifically kind of looking into that first part of just how he had an interest, even if maybe the odds were kind of stacked against him starting out, but he knew what he liked and what he wanted to do and strive for, and he was able to find people that wanted to join him on his dream and his mission. And I always found that very inspiring to just kind of jump into something that maybe others don't, especially again, the small town, that maybe others don't quite understand or might find a little silly, but just kind of jumping in, finding those people that also want to go on that journey with you and doing what you love.
Yeah, another person who was like that not too many people really had any issues, not like when it comes to having a big ego or just also creating another iconic character. Steve Hillenburg, who did SpongeBob, it
Mm,
was kind of another person who, there was nothing, he was nothing like that from the way that a lot of his colleagues and friends would describe him. He was kind of really quiet, reserved, but he still was able to just make a lot of really positive, insanely positive memories with SpongeBob, and also just the impact it had on pop culture. And it's kind of the same with Jim Henson with the Muppets. I just think that both of them were just taken from us far too soon. And
hmm.
who knows where, like, any of these series, like, I don't know how, if Walt Disney, if he was still around, seeing Mickey or any of these other characters that he helped to lend a hand in, or just any of the stuff that is out right now, like, we could kind of wonder where everything would. I mean, yeah, and also with Monty Orm with Ruby, just who knows where we would be if it wasn't for all of these people just in
For
our
sure.
lives, just making these outstanding just projects
Hmm.
just come to life and still continue to go on despite them not no longer being here, which is sad, but I'm just really glad that they were able to just put their touch on pop culture in a way. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
absolutely. Same here. Same here.
Yeah. And there's a lot of other stuff that I could probably mention and talk about. Like, I mean, I have my Mario shirt on, I have Sonic. There's so much stuff that just kind of is very inspiring to me. And a lot of this points that you pointed out is like, yeah, I kind of feel the same way towards a lot of this stuff that I could be in a mood and I could just be like, man, this is like the greatest thing ever. And then I can move on to something. And then something else comes along and I'm like, oh, wait, I think this is peak.
Right?
Yeah, it's just hard keeping up with stuff nowadays, especially when we're both just working and just being actors and doing the adulting stuff, as you said.
Very true. Yeah. Yeah, for me lately, when I'm not adulting, my thing lately has been Pokemon.
Oh my
Especially
God,
like the
yeah.
past year and a half. I used to play it a little bit when I was little and or kind of younger back in my school days, and I liked it well enough. Now this I'm an adult and I have my Nintendo Switch. I've dove head first back in. It's kind of bad sometimes. I probably shouldn't play it as much as I do, but I love it.
I mean, look, I could dive into something and I would just get lost in it for hours. That thing to me was Ace Attorney when I got it for like a Thanksgiving deal. And
Nice.
I didn't play it right away, but I was just like, okay, I've heard so much about this game and I've done comic dubs before. Let me actually get the experience myself. And I kid you not, I literally, because for the first trial, I think you could kind of beat it in a day, but like for so on and so forth, I think I spent like close to over 3 6 hours straight just playing it for the first time, and I'm just like, oh shoot, I know I got work to do, but it's so good.
Right?
Yeah, I think that's for a lot of people when they were playing Animal Crossing and Among
Hmm.
Us or Genshin, like I told you way back when 5 years ago happened.
Right.
Yeah, so I guess I can kind of see where the fixation comes in, or addiction, obsession even.
Yeah, those three tend to bleed into each other. Depends. I guess it
Yeah,
depends.
it depends on who you are and what game it is. So,
Sure.
yeah, but I think we were just touching upon gratitude and what have you. And I know there is a question that was related to it, but I think I may ask it at in just a little bit. I'll probably get to it, but yeah, this is what happens when I have a format, like I have a script, but it's like we just kind of wanted to play this off as like, spontaneous or just be organic and just discuss whatever. And then there's always that one question you end up forgetting.
No, it's
Just a
it's all
brain
good.
fart.
My
Yeah.
day job involves helping some people in my industry run their podcasts, and I say often, it's a good conversation with them. Now, it's not the same for everybody. I think it just depends with how well they can handle being on mic and camera and hold a conversation. But for the people that I've been working with for almost 2 years now, I can tell it's a good conversation almost when they go off the script that I've given them, just because I know they know the industry better than even I do, because they're more in it, where I'm researching about it to give them something to talk about. So for them, when they go off topic, I'm like, this is gonna be, I can just sit back. They've got it. They're on a roll. We're good to go.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And thank you. I just remembered the question. What
There
is
you
something
go.
that's been keeping you positive throughout just not just this year, but just this decade so far?
Yeah, for
Just
sure.
in general. Yeah.
My cat. That's
Yep.
my quick answer. No, just
That
with
goes without saying.
yes. But no, with everything with the world and voice acting and all fun, where things are constantly shifting. It's nice to kind of have one of a few, if you can. I think things that are pretty stable. And it's a simple thing to say, but a cat is a cat. They live very simple lives, and they're very, at least mine is very easygoing and very consistent. And sometimes just having that cute, cuddly, consistent friend that lives with you, it can go a long way, especially if you're having a bad day.
Exactly. So, and that other question that I said I was going to get to, what would you say was it could be multiple moments, but what would you say was the most pivotal in your life that remind you why you love acting and just doing everything that you've been doing for just pretty much almost all your life
Yes, I
as
do
a
have
creator.
one.
Yeah.
And I don't think we talked about this last time, but
I don't
I,
think we
I
did. No.
I distinctly remember this. So this was back in 2019, right before it would have been in late August of 2019. Um, this was when I was still in college, kind of it would have been my second junior year in college. And it had been around the time that I had made some very good friends who knew I did voice acting, were always supporting me. They were the friends that got me into anime and all that fun stuff. And that summer, we did our first convention together. And during that time, there was, I believe his name was Joel McDonald. Um, he he did a bit of voice acting and then I think kind of transitioned more from the acting side to the directing side. Um, but while he was there, he was holding a panel. And well, he held several panels. I think one was to kind of give, his advice and direction in terms of like getting into voice acting and how to read copy and things like that. But that Sunday, I remember he held kind of like a mini competition. And it wasn't too I say competition because now we have like the Bang Zoom competitions and stuff like that.
I think there's one
But
happening at AX, like Anime Expo next weekend, from what I hear.
oh, nice.
Yeah.
But
I don't know if I'm going to go, but just want to point
oh,
that out.
you should. If you do, you should compete. It's those are fun.
One of these days.
You got it. They're fun. But this one was very kind of low key. It was literally just Joel, and he had some slides up, and he's like, "Hey, based on this, um, the character you want to do. I'm gonna give you feedback if we have time, and we go through. Feel free to get back in line and use that feedback that I give you." Um, and I kind of had an opportunity that I got to go up and I got like feedback, and luckily there was enough time. Basically, I remember there were the two female characters. I picked the one I really wanted to do. I did it, and I was kind of told, your voice would better match the other one. Let's go ahead and give that one a try if you can get back in line. I was like, okay. But I went back in line and I did it. And I'll never forget doing that uh, particular reading because at the time, that was about when I was transitioning more from doing kind of fan work to getting onto the more professional side. And I was being a little hesitant to take that leap. Self-doubt, things like that. I did a lot more fan work up until that point. I was a little nervous. Like there's a difference between fan work and being more professional, and I don't know if I've got that in me. And I'll never forget kind of going up for that second read and clearly hearing because you're standing in front of the audience and hearing those like whispers behind me and that one person going, "Oh, she's good." And just kind of getting like those I wasn't expecting it, but I'll never forget it. And then it ended and Joel was had to pick a winner. He was just like, uh, you and the whatever costume I was wearing. And I was like, me? Like it was almost like a movie moment. I literally was like, me kind of thing. I won like a t-shirt and I wound up chatting with him afterwards. He actually signed the shirt and I got it and my dad made a little frame for it because it was a big moment for me. And he was like, "Yeah, no, you've got something there. Continue your training. People are looking for that like lower register, that delivery that you have." And it took another good year, I think, until COVID hit, where I was really like, okay, now I'm jumping in more professionally. But I'll never forget that moment because it was a combination of just being in a nerd convention, which we talked about that I loved, getting to participate in voice acting, which I love, and then also getting to have literally my friends right there who were like screaming, congratulating me, who I love dearly. So it was quite literally a perfect storm, at the very least, like a really good memory. And so I think that was even if it didn't happen right at that moment, I contribute that to being just that positive moment that was like, yes, that I've got something. Whatever that is, I don't know, but clearly there's something there, and it wouldn't hurt to pursue it, and that's what I've been doing.
Yeah. Besides all of that, I just really think that it's so great to have Joel just be like, "Hey, I think you got something in ya, and we don't really have a lot of like the lower register stuff, so keep going." Just
Yeah.
pretty much give you the pat on the back, like the pat on the back, like that. I can talk.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. No, it was really nice. I also now I remember I'm getting more bits and pieces. I remember so now like sometimes I do when I go to panels and stuff. I won't necessarily always do competitions, but if there's voice acting stuff, if I'm able to get in, I like to jump in and do it just for fun at conventions. But I remember now when I go, I like to dress up. So when I go, it's like I'll do it in costume. As long as it's not restricting my
That'll get
mouth
them
and
to
everything,
remember me.
right? I don't care. But I remember with that one because I was so like nervous. I remember that morning I dressed up. I was literally just like t-shirt, natural hair. We're gonna look kind of semi-normal. I did the thing, won it, super excited. I ran to the convention bathroom and I put on my cosplay, which was Elle from Death Note at the time because I was
Oh.
tag teaming with a friend who did light. And then we went to go see Joel, and I was like, hey, I know I look different. I'm wearing a wig and a different shirt, and I think I might have put on some dark eyeliner. And I'm like, hey, it was me. And I don't think he believed me until I showed the shirt. And I was just like, hey, thanks again. But I love that moment because now I would just go in, like I said, I would use the costume almost if I were to be more strategic, I would use the costume to my advantage. Like, hi, I stick out, remember me kind of
It's
thing.
me.
It's me. Yeah.
It
But
was
yeah,
me, a Dio.
it was me the whole time.
Yeah, it really was me. Any other like convention memories or experiences that you want to share? Since we're kind of on this subject now.
Um, you know what? I do have another one. Same convention, years later. What does it taste? 25. I think it was August of 23. So I mentioned I'm in a project called Welcome Home. That had just started. There was a moment where like it absolutely boomed and kind of took the internet. It's I would say to this day it's probably the most popular thing I've been in that it boomed and then it kind of calmed down and now we have kind of like that trusty small mighty fan base. But for like a good uh 3 quarters of 2023, things just boomed. But um I had found out that one of my fellow voice actors on that project, Joshua, I want to say Walters. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting
Oh,
his last
Josh
name.
Waters, yeah.
Thank you. It is
Tunnel
Waters.
VA, yeah.
Yes. Um, I found out that he also grew up in Ohio. He actually went to the same university I did. I think I want to say 2 or 3 years below younger than me. But found that out, and not only that, but we discovered so at conventions sometimes fans can get together and reserve times for photo shoots. So basically, they get a room reserved. Sometimes the convention will provide a professional photographer, and it's under a specific anime fandom, things like that. And we discovered that there was a welcome home photo shoot. And we were able to kind of collaborate and stuff. And so me and Josh were able to go to the convention, but we dressed up as our characters. Uh, and again, those same friends that I had for the 2019 memory, a few of them were there for this one as well. And what I didn't know is one of my friends actually does do a lot of convention behind the scenes work. I knew they were there and they were helping with the photos. What I didn't know is they went ahead because they knew I was in the project. They knew that we were going to be there. They let the people who wanted the photos taken know ahead of time that Josh and I, the voice actors, were going to be there. And they were the sweetest people. They gave us bracelets. Someone made like they made little paintings of our characters. I had to step away and cry for a second. It was the sweetest thing. And those pictures are some of the sweetest and the funniest pictures with some of the poses we did. But that was another, probably after that 2019 one, that's got to be my number two in terms of moments I won't forget from a convention.
Yeah. Man, I have so many stories that I mean, if you want me to share, because I still want to keep
Please
this
do.
conversation flowing. But oh, okay, thanks. I'm just gonna be really quick with these. And these all happened recently too, because I've had like some pretty good. I never had like a single bad convention experience. It's just the only thing now. It's I only do one day for a few hours, so it's you have to cram like a lot of don't even have to necessarily do that, but it's like, man, if I go, I'm gonna be like, man, I kind of wish I'd done this or da 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 blah blah blah. But so that's why you just be like, well, just make the most of my time, just see
Hmm.
who I want to see, get some stuff, and have fun, see cosplays, and then just go back home because you're
Yep.
not there for the whole weekend. But some of my favorite ones were I think it was at a convention. It was sometime before COVID, and Kira Buckland was doing a
Hmm.
cosplay competition. And that was a lot of fun, just getting to see so many amazing people just be the characters up on the stage, just seeing just the dedication and craft into it. Like I'm not a cosplayer or anything, so I know that's something that definitely takes a lot of time and dedication in order to do so. Just seeing that is pretty much a lot of fun, and just seeing a lot of these people once again. I will say the one that I would say it's probably one of my favorites as of right now. It's because I've posted these on my Twitter and like some social. Oh, actually, I don't have a Twitter anymore because I duked it. So on social
Sure.
media,
Hmm.
yeah, and same with TikTok. But I met a lot of my childhood favorites because I'm wearing Mario. I met Charles Martinet, who was just an
Nice.
absolute sweetheart. I met Jim Cummings. I met Tom Kenny, Rob Paulsen, just in so many different events, just kind of back to back from one another. And these are the guys that I literally grew up listening to on my TV and just seeing
Hmm.
them in person as they and I know it's kind of like, kind of you kind of geek out whenever they do like a character that you kind of listen to all your life. So just hearing them, just play like SpongeBob or Yakko or whoever else is like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Oh,
Wow, just my yeah.
I
Continue.
cried when I met Tom Kenny. It like hit me out of
Oh
nowhere.
my gosh. Oh, just saying, meeting Tom,
You're
you
an
got to share your
inspiration.
story. Yeah, tell your story.
No, honestly, there wasn't too much to tell because it was obviously Tom Kenny had a big line, so I really didn't have like a
Hmm,
what.
yeah,
It was just
because
kind
when
of
I,
quick. Big inspiration. I voice act. You're inspiration to that. Thank you. Love you. Okay, bye. Like,
I think that's pretty much what I did. Like my mom and I, because he was supposed to be at another convention back in March, but he ended up
Mhm.
getting sick, which never happens. Like he said that, no, this honestly never happens, where he had to like cancel an event just out of the blue because of illness. So when he was at a NostalgiaCon a few weeks ago, I was like, I am actually getting to meet Tom because I met Lori Allen and I met the Lewis, the Spanish SpongeBob, but getting to meet like the dude who is pretty much I listened to since I was like pretty much like three, since I was a toddler. It's like, man, I cannot believe. And also meeting Rob Paulsen, like we were talking Animaniacs, just with Yakko, the Ninja Turtles, Carl from Jimmy Neutron, and just meeting him was like honestly one of the big highlights. And I waited, and I had to wait in line for both of them because I don't know when. You just never know when's the next time you'll get to see them. So it's like better do it now and not regret it later.
Right.
Yeah,
It's interesting because I used to do more kind of voice actor meet and greets when I first was like getting into anime and into cons, and it's gotten to the point both in terms like I've met everyone that I've wanted to meet, or it's like
exactly.
if there's any prints I'm getting, they're JoJo related, and we've already established
Mm,
that. But otherwise, the new third one that I love to do is there's those handful of like niche anime or video games that didn't quite take off, and they're not like a Demon Slayer or a Genshin or things. I love going to voice actors and having like that. My favorite one right now, if you've heard of, there's a game called Bug Snacks. Um,
yes, yes, yes,
there's a
yes.
number of like anime, like the voice Robert Craig Smith or Roger Craig Smith, sorry,
Roger. Oh yeah, Roger.
Sonic.
Yeah.
He was in that, and it's
Yeah.
like one of those things that it kind of slipped under the radar, wasn't too popular, and I've gotten like three, four, or and Yuri, what last name? I'm
Oh, Yuri
terrible.
Lowenthal and Tara
Thank
Platt.
you.
Yeah, and I also met them this year too. And
Yep.
inside my book, I had Tara sign it, and Yuri kind of just did a little free thing, and because I had the original copy, and he was like, you know what? Don't tell anybody, but let me just do it. It's just so
Yep.
nice.
No, I find if you bring the pro tip from Gina, this doesn't always work, but I accidentally discovered with some of the actors, if you bring, because sometimes they'll charge you for like a signature and then a signature and a quote.
And it's a pretty,
If
yeah.
you
I mean,
bring the niche
yeah.
thing, sometimes they just give you the quote for three. I don't even ask for it. I think just sometimes they're
No, I
happy
didn't
to
even
see
ask for it. I just showed
like
it,
it's
and they
this
were
one.
just like, yeah,
Yeah, Yuri was the example. I think he was just happy to see that really niche thing and I get the little
exactly.
quote and I was like, didn't even ask, but I'm so grateful that I've got it. So yeah, and I'm going to Matsuri Con in August, and one of them, Max Middleman, he's like the main character from
I was
Bugsnax, and I'm
about
like,
to say
I've
Max.
got you.
Yeah,
I've clocked you. I'm excited to
I got
make
you,
it
man.
happen.
I got you, bro.
I see you. I see you. I'm
I'll
coming.
see you. Yeah, I'm a coming.
But no, I love now. If it's not JoJo related, then at this point I'll just go if I have like that niche thing that was like I loved you in this specific anime or this very specific game that's not like it's not on your banner. Not a lot of people talk about it because then those kind of help generate those conversations too. So they're not just talking about the same thing over and over. So I like if
Yeah,
I can give them a little something different to look at.
yeah. I think that's kind of what happened because I think I paid for like 80 for a selfie, a photo with Tom, and he was able to sign like this puzzle lunch pail thing that I still have over here. Like he was able to
Oh,
do it as well. I didn't even have to pay extra. Just he just kind of did it just as a you know what? You've been waiting in line for a while, so let me just
some people are chill, and I like that.
yeah.
Respect.
Yeah, that's the same with Rob when I met him too. It's like, oh, okay, no worries. Yeah, I got you. So
I will
it was
say
just
I'm
so
not.
nice. I did not even ask. They
I'll
just knew.
never. There was one, I won't say their name, but there was
Yeah.
one voice actor I met, I want to say about a year ago, and I think they just had like a real long line and they were tired. It happens. I can laugh about this now, but I distinctly remember I brought the manga up and they took it. Um, and it was kind of one of those where they were known for kind of their online personality and stuff like that. And I had like said as I brought up, like I'm just trying to get like all the voice actors for this kind of niche anime. I don't. It was kind of, I think, not verbally established. Like I'm not going to take up too much of your time because clearly there's like frothing at
Yeah,
the
there's
mouth
like
fans
a
here.
whole like long
But yeah,
snake line
but
you gotta go through.
but yeah, they took it and they're like, so yeah, your name's like Gina. I'm like, yep, you can just put Gina. And they're like, Gina. Yep, you've got it. I watch in real time as they write Jeena, and I'm just like, oh, honey. I said nothing. I said I said absolutely nothing. I went, thanks. Have a great rest of the con. I was just like, poor
Oh,
thing. Honestly, I
oh
laugh about it. That's the
no.
it's okay. I kind of felt a little bad. I was like, they must I could kind of tell they were
I
a little tired.
probably yeah. I would just be like, oh no. Especially after waiting in line. Oh.
No, I was chill. I was chill about it. I
Yeah,
don't
I mean you
I
gotta
don't know if
yeah.
they noticed. If they did, they didn't
Yeah,
say anything, and I'm like, I'm not
for
gonna say
sure.
it. You're not gonna. Nope. All right, moving on. Have a good day.
Yep, of
Bye.
course. Bye. So I guess
Just it
since
was
we're
so.
here.
Yeah,
Oh,
go
sorry,
ahead.
you go. No, you go.
It was just so funny because they specifically were like Gina, Gina, and it's like, oh, you're so close.
Roll with it.
Yep,
At least you
exactly.
got to see him. Um, you've talked about JoJo quite a few times, so
Yes.
do it. Just share all your love, gush about it. Yeah, your history with it, if you may.
Yeah. So shocker, I've not voiced in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Nope, that's a union project. I'm non-union. But uh JoJo, it's one of those few. Well, I'm still kind of into anime and I'll watch it casually. I'm not back in college. I used to kind of have like I went through my anime phase and I had all the posters and stuff on my walls. I'm not really on that phase anymore, but the one show that's the exception is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, to the point that in my room I have a dedicated JoJo wall, and the idea is that particular wall, I'm just covering it head to toe with JoJo prints, like signed by voice actors, or just general specifically fan art, not just like, generic art that I can get from like Walmart, just getting like all the fan art and stuff. But I really like JoJo. Almost feels weird to say an emotional connection with JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, but with twofold with it because that was kind of the anime that I really got to bond with my friends during college. And like that kind of inspired us to do group cosplays and like get going into anime conventions. So really it made some like lasting memories and references that we still talk about 4 years or 5 years now. Gosh, world, 5 years now that we've graduated from college. And then the other side of that was during kind of COVID. That was one of those shows that would give me a laugh in the midst of everything going on. I always say JoJo during COVID, JoJo made me laugh, Violet Evergarden made me cry. So both were the yin and yang during my I guess times during COVID. But it's just a really fun, wacky show, and it's typically not a genre that I'm into. Just something about it tickles my funny bone in the right way. And I'm so excited that we're getting part seven. That was my favorite part to read. Very curious how they're gonna translate and interpret certain arcs, but I'm ready for many, many scenes. Uh, Cannot wait. I'm ready to take a half day from work or something just to watch whenever Netflix releases like the first third of it. I don't know.
I gotta. I'm probably gonna have to blame Kira and also Sean Chiplock for indirectly getting me more invested in the lore of JoJo.
It's It's fun. It's one of those shows, even like with lore, it's one of those every time I go in for haha, silly, silly, goof, goof. Oh no, I've gotten attached to these characters. We're in the last 10 episodes. Two-thirds of them are gonna be dead, and I'm not emotionally ready. You know it's the pattern. You know it's coming, but you get so invested that you forget, and then it happens, and you're like, "Oh, Rocky, you got me again." I got attached to that character.
Yeah, and we could talk about JoJo literally just forever. Yeah, there's like so much that we can discuss about it that like, and as I always do on the show, there's probably going to be a sequel follow up where we could just exclusively discuss JoJo because we can't quite fit everything in one day. I mean,
For
it's just
sure.
impossible. So yeah, if you want to hear us ramble about JoJo or just other topics we didn't even get to, like for now, stick around next time, whenever that is. So I guess to close this out, because I know it's like a little after, you know, it's kind of past our like dinner time, I think. But yeah, I wanted to know from you, like any last final piece of advice or closing that you wanted to, share to the audience out there before we officially conclude for this Saturday evening now, I guess.
Yeah.
Still afternoon for me. So yeah.
For sure. I probably said this last time too, but it's the piece of advice if there's anyone listening that's interested in voice acting, or honestly, now that like that I've sat on it, just kind of creating in general. I know, but especially if I'm coming from voice acting now, I know the scene might look a little saturated. There's a lot of us in the field, both professionally and just doing fan work. So I understand that, especially now with how we can all have access to technology, it can look a little intimidating. But I want to say if voice acting, anything involved with creating, if you were considering doing it, but just something's holding you back, whether it's you're the perfectionist like me, I know that's something that's held me back, or just feeling intimidated by what you're seeing around you, my piece of advice would be honestly, just start. Um, really make that content for yourself, audition for that thing. Is it going to be 100% perfect? Are you going to get that role? Probably not, to be honest. But better to initially start and get that ball rolling than staying paralyzed in fear. Again, I'm sure a bunch of us would say when we started, it's not a case that as soon as we grabbed I'm using a Blue Yeti for recording, I use an XLR mic. It wasn't a case of us, grabbing that laptop microphone, sitting in a room that had no padding whatsoever, and then we immediately got every single audition we tried. Like that's how it didn't work that's not how that works for any of us, even if we're getting roles now. But yes, it's just getting that experience and giving it a try. You got to do it. Rather you try and then maybe you discover it's not for you, or you try it and you absolutely love it, and then you start getting a little better and you start meeting friends and making those colleagues. But better you try and discover that and go on that really fun, fantastic journey than have not tried at all because you were scared. So if you're on the fence, please, please, please just give it a try.
Amen to that. And you want to plug in your socials, the stuff that you're in, and any final closing farewells and all that
Yeah.
stuff. Self promo time.
So in terms of social, I tend to go through spurts and with how active I am on social. I was like really active kind of 23, beginning of 24, and then I've just kind of pieced out. I'm still viewing it. If you are curious to follow me on Blue Sky, I do still keep my X. I don't really post too much, but on both, you can find me on Gina M9816. As well as if you're curious about my work, my website is just my first and last name, so GinaMoravec.com. I've got all of my work that I've done in the past up there. I'm hoping to get it updated in the next month or two because I do have some new stuff I can rearrange and put on there, so it's a little out of date. But yeah, otherwise, like I mentioned, if you're interested in those kind of online ARGs, welcome home. That's going to be the easiest way to find me. Otherwise, I'm sure if you look on Robert's socials or on his YouTube channel, I'm there in an occasional comic dub or poem reading or what have you.
Oh yeah, those are fun as well. Um, would you like to do the outro where I basically have to guess, say, my name is Gina, you've done this and this and this, and this is Station Square Podcast with Robert Jackson.
Sure. Let's see if I can remember all that.
Let's go.
All right. Station Square Podcast.
Yeah.
Okay. Uh, all right. Well, my name's Gina Moravec. You might know me as Sally Starlet from the Welcome Home online series, and I've been talking on Station Square. I'm not a one-take wonder. I'm sorry. Okay, I'll try again. My name is Gina Moravec. You might know me as Sally Starlet from the Welcome Home online series, and I've been on Station Square podcast with Robert Jackson.
Excelente. Yeah. So just real quick, that's kind of like your little JoJo history of how you got into it, and then just kind of that's how the snowball, that's how the rabbit hole just kind of went downwards from there onward. Just want to double check. Just,
Yeah, are you talking about with JoJo?
yeah, with JoJo, yeah, with your story.
Yeah, if we're talking about like my nerdy interests and stuff like that,
Yeah.
yeah, JoJo was definitely kind of like a spiral of just kind of starting a show with my friends because we knew the memes of it online. So we're like, well, let's actually see like where the memes are coming from. And then it was just like, okay, but what happens next? There's plot. And just it rolled from there.
Awesome. Well, I guess on that weird random note, just like JoJo,
To be continued.
yeah, to be continued. Okay. Thank you for watching Station Square with me and Gina, and I'll catch you all next time on the next episode. Until then, have a lovely day, and yeah, JoJo out. That's not even a pose, but
It
thanks.
works. Bye.
Bye.